What happens when a man who lives in a golden skyscraper suddenly walks into the most powerful office on Earth? It wasn't just another businessman entering politics. This was Donald J. Trump, a man whose front door handle probably cost more than your car, suddenly taking the oath of office with the same swagger he used to sign multi-million-dollar real estate deals. The world watched, stunned, as the billionaire who slept beneath 24-karat ceilings stepped into a home built in 1800 with creaky floors and historic furniture. But let's get one thing straight, Trump didn't trade luxury for legacy. He brought both. He wasn't just president, he was a brand, a living, breathing, walking emblem of wealth, power, and controversy. And while past presidents tried to humanize themselves, roll up their sleeves, pretend to be just like us, Trump doubled down. He flew to the White House in a jet with gold seatbelt buckles. And you know what? The world couldn't look away. This wasn't just a presidency, it was a rebranding of power itself. Trump style, opulent, unapologetic, and dripping in gold. But how exactly did he live during those 4 chaotic years? Was the White House a step down, or just another property in his empire? Let's go inside. Imagine living in a 66-floor skyscraper with panoramic views of Manhattan, Italian marble floors polished to a mirror shine, and chandeliers worth more than some homes. That's Trump Tower, Donald Trump's vertical palace, where the walls are draped in silk, the columns are wrapped in 24-karat gold leaf, and every inch screams, "You've made it." Now imagine trading all of that for a house built over 200 years ago. With antique rugs, portrait-lined hallways, and rooms steeped in political formality. That's the White House. Classy? Yes. Historic? Absolutely. But in Trump's world of custom-designed elevators and gold-plated toilet seats, it was a downgrade. For a man who once called his penthouse the most beautiful apartment in the world, moving into the White House wasn't just symbolic, it was strategic. He wasn't leaving his billionaire lifestyle behind, he was expanding it. And the contrast? Breathtaking. At Trump Tower, the ceiling soared. The wine was private labeled and the air whispered luxury. At the White House, everything was governed by tradition, by rules, by legacy. But here's the twist. Trump didn't conform. The man who lived in Versailles on the Hudson didn't adapt to the White House. He adapted the White House to him. Staff insiders say the moment he moved in, subtle shifts began. Menu changes, room adjustments, custom furniture requests. The media caught glimpses, but few realized the real estate mogul wasn't playing house. He was building a new kind of presidential image, luxury-infused, media-ready, unapologetically Trump. And the real transformation, that started with the gold and ended in the dining room. The White House has always been a symbol of power, its stately decor, its deep-rooted history, its air of restraint and responsibility. But when Donald Trump moved in, he didn't just bring his briefcase, he brought his billionaire blueprint. Gone were the quiet, traditional touches of past presidents. Trump was used to living like royalty, and the White House? It needed a makeover, not in structure, but in spirit. From day one, staff noticed things shifting. He replaced traditional meals with fast food banquets, not out of frugality, but control. Think McDonald's on silver platters, Diet Coke served at the push of a button, and Filet-O-Fish beside crystal water goblets. He wasn't eating for show, he was showing that he makes the rules, even in the most rule-bound house in the world. But the real signature? The gold. Gold drapery, gold-rimmed china, even talk of replacing traditional furniture with pieces that mirrored his Trump Tower aesthetic. Lavish, bold, distinctly him. The Oval Office, subtly reshaped to reflect power, not humility. To Trump, luxury wasn't indulgence, it was identity. Every room became a reflection of his brand, wealth, dominance, disruption. But while the rooms glittered, the skies held a whole other story, because when Trump flew, he flew like no president before. For most presidents, Air Force One is the pinnacle of power, a flying fortress, fully equipped with advanced defense systems, a command center, and presidential luxury. But for Trump, it was just another plane. Why? Because he already had one. Before taking office, Trump proudly flew in Trump Force One, his personal Boeing 757, custom outfitted with gold-plated seatbelt buckles, silk-lined walls, and a master bedroom with a 24-karat gold sink. A jet built like a palace in the sky. And although Air Force One had unmatched security, it didn't carry the Trump signature style. So what did he do? He brought his habits with him. On Air Force One, he rewrote the playbook, holding impromptu strategy strategy sessions with burgers and fries, watching hours of cable news, and requesting his favorite meals from McDonald's or KFC. His jet rides weren't quiet diplomatic missions. They were power moves, filled with fast food, flashy entourage, and breaking headlines mid-air. He once told aides he liked his plane better, not because of tech, but because of taste. And to no one's surprise, he even tried to redesign Air Force One during his term, proposing a new paint scheme in red, white, and blue. Because even at 30,000 feet, image was everything. And speaking of image, his security wasn't just presidential, it was presidential plus billionaire. Being president already comes with an elite ring of protection, but being Donald Trump, the billionaire brand president, that required something more, a security operation that resembled the movements of royalty or a global CEO. Trump's Secret Service detail wasn't just guarding a leader, they were navigating a lifestyle that included frequent travel to luxury resorts, high-profile public appearances, and personal properties spread across the US, each with their own risks and logistics. Take MaraLago, for example. When Trump traveled to his Florida estate, often dubbed the Winter White House, security wasn't just tight, it was massive. Streets were shut down, surveillance tripled, and entire rooms were swept daily. Hotel bookings by Secret Service sometimes cost tens of thousands per night, especially ironic when it was spent at Trump-owned resorts. His personal entourage, often packed with private security contractors, former military operatives, and long-trusted bodyguards. This was more than protocol, it was preference, and the price. According to Watchdog reports, Trump's security-related travel costs topped $141 million in his first year alone. The lines between private wealth and public duty blurred, but there was one estate where those lines practically disappeared, a place where presidential power met pure resort luxury. Nestled on the sun-soaked shores of Palm Beach, Florida, sits one of Donald Trump's crown jewels, MaraLago. But during his presidency, it evolved from elite playground to an unofficial seat of power, a place where business, politics, and luxury collided under crystal chandeliers. Originally built in the 1920s by heiress Marjorie Merriweather Post, the estate boasts 126 rooms, gilded ballrooms, oceanfront views, and halls lined with European antiques. Trump bought it in 1985 for a mere $10 million and transformed it into an exclusive club with a waiting list full of billionaires and political elites. But once he took office, MaraLago wasn't just for golf and brunch anymore. It became a presidential base. World leaders visited the resort like it was the real White House. Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe dined there, and that dinner famously turned into an impromptu national security briefing on North Korea, right in the middle of the club's main dining room, with guests looking on like it was a reality show. Membership costs? Around $200,000 to join, plus yearly dues, skyrocketing after Trump's election. To some, it was brilliance, a president staying in control on his own turf. To others, it was a conflict of interest dressed in five-star luxury. But to Trump, it was simple. MaraLago wasn't just a retreat, it was his kingdom, where he could command, entertain, and relax, all under one gold-accented roof. And his family, they weren't just guests, they were part of the show. Trump didn't just live like a billionaire in the White House, he turned